What's up, YouTube? I'm here to do my prediction video for UFC Fight Night Ngannou versus Velasquez. Let's start at the bottom. The first fight is Alexandria Albu versus Emily Whitmire. And to me, Alexandria Albu hasn't been super consistent in how often she fights. She's really good when she does fight, but that's a huge concern. Emily Whitmire, I don't think is the greatest fighter ever. I think she's just a decent striker with some ground game. It's tough to tell just because I feel like if Alexandria fought more often, it'd be much easier to pick her. But just because she doesn't fight very often, it makes it hard. I'm still leaning towards Alexandria to win this fight, but like I said, it's tough to tell with just how inconsistently she fights, how good she's going to look coming into this. Next, we got Jessica Penne versus Jodie Escobar, and a lot of the fights on this card are like this. It's a lot of guys coming off a long layoff, so it's hard to tell how good a lot of these people are going to be. Because the same thing with Jessica Penne, I feel like if Jessica Penne is fighting at 100%, she'll win this fight every day. She's way better. I think that Jodie is basically just a boxer. She's not a very good ground fighter. I think if Jessica gets us to the ground, she should win, but pretty easily. But who knows how good she's going to look. She hasn't fought in like 2 years, and she kind of got beat up her last 2 times out against, I think it was, Joanna, and then the other Brazilian chick who's really good. So if she's at 100%, she should win this fight pretty easy. She should take this to the ground by submission. If she's not, she's going to lose. So it just kind of depends on what you think personally. And I personally think Jessica, if she looks the same, she should win. So I got her win by first round rear naked choke. Next, we got Renan Barão versus Luke Sanders. And this depends entirely on if Barão can get to the ground. I think striking-wise, it's pretty close. Luke probably has the higher volume. I think Luke's shown that he's not the best submission defense guy ever. He gets caught a lot. It's really weird. He's a good fighter, but I just feel like he leaves weird wide openings and he gets caught and he loses fights that he probably should win. And I think that that's probably what's going to happen in this fight. I think Barão is good at catching people. I think he creates, he goes forward on guys a lot. I think that conditioning is his biggest problem. I think if Luke can get this to the third, he could probably finish Barão. But I just don't see it happening. I think Barão gets to the ground the first round and wins by submission. So I got Barão by first round sub. Next we got Scott Holtzman versus Nick Lentz. And this just depends on, how Nick Lentz is able to stuff the takedowns. If he can stuff the takedowns, I think he wins. I think he's the better striker and the better grappler overall. But we've seen fights where Nick Lentz just gets out-wrestled by much better wrestlers. I don't know if that's what's going to happen in this fight. But like I said, that's something that he needs to work on. I mean, he's good at getting back up, but he gets controlled sometimes by guys who are just strong wrestlers. I think that, like I said, his overall grappling game, he should be able to catch Scott in a submission sooner or later, but it's tough just because, like I said, I've seen that happen to Nick Lentz a few times where he just gets out-wrestled by really good wrestlers. But I'm leaning towards that not happening. I think Nick Lentz just slightly outstrikes him and eventually catches him in a submission, like a rear naked choke or guillotine, so I got Nick Lentz winning by submission. Next, we got Ashley Evans-Smith versus Adriana Lee, and this is kind of like Adriana Lee's kicks versus Ashley Smith's punches, because I don't really see this fight hitting the ground that much. I think Smith's the better wrestler, and I don't think Adriana Lee's going to be able to take her down. I don't know if Smith's going to be able to take down Lee either. I think it's just going to be a stand-up fight. I think this fight's going to be super close. I think if Lee keeps the distance, she'll win, and if Smith can close the distance, she'll win. It's really tough, but I'm slightly leaning towards Smith, but like I said, I think this fight's going to be, like I said, depends on who can keep the range. Next, we got Benito Lopez versus Manny Bermudez, and this is really like a brawler versus a grappler. I think Benito Lopez is basically just a brawler, and Bermudez is 100% just a grappler. And I'm leaning towards Bermudez because I haven't seen him in a fight yet where he can't force it to the ground. And, there's a reason why. They're both undefeated, but to me, Manny Bermudez is just more impressive because I feel like once he gets fights to the ground, he just dominates people. And I think this is going to happen. I think Lopez, the way he fights too, he's not super technical. He just likes to go out there and swing big. I think when Manny gets close to him, they're going to tie up and he's going to pull to the ground. I think once it's there, Manny's just going to dominate. I don't know if he'll finish Benito, but I think he'll win every round at least. So I got Manny Bermudez winning by either submission or decision. Next, we got Jimmy Rivera versus Aljamain Sterling, and this is another fight that I think depends entirely on who can keep the range. I think that Aljo's the much better grappler overall, but I think Jimmy Rivera is just too strong with his takedown defense and ability to get back up. I don't think Aljamain's ever going to be able to take him down and hold him down. Like, he might take him down once or twice here or there, but I just doubt he'll be able to keep him there. It depends. If Aljamain can keep the distance and use his length, he should be able to win, but if Jimmy Rivera can, outstrike him from the outside or on the inside, And I think this is going to happen. I feel like all those Tiger Schulman guys are phenomenal at like closing distance like that. They have that weird like half karate, half kickboxing style, kind of like how Guy Mesger used to have. And I mean, I just think that's going to happen. I think that he's going to be able to close the distance whenever he wants to. They're really good at that. We saw that with what's his face when he fought Luis Pena. I mean, even the Luis Pena was way longer and taller than fuck, I can't remember the guy's name. Mike Trizano. Mike Trizano was able to, kick from the outside and close that distance with punches whenever he wanted. I think Jimmy Rivera is going to do the same. I think he's going to be able to land kicks on the outside whenever he wants and close that distance boxing-wise whenever he wants. I think this fight will be close, but I just see Jimmy Rivera out. Just edging out every round and winning a 30-27 decision. I also don't know why this fight isn't the co-main event. It's a load of shit. Because this is like number 5 versus number 7. That's all I'm saying. Next we got Andre Fili versus Miles Jury, and this depends, I feel like, on the feet. Fili's a little bit better of a kicker. Jury's a little bit better with his hands. Wrestling-wise, I think Fili's definitely better. His takedown defenses look really good recently. I think if it does hit the ground, Jury's definitely the much better grappler overall. I just don't think it's going there. I don't think Jury's good enough to take it to the ground. It kind of just depends on... This is another fight where it's just who keeps the range. I think if Jury can keep this in boxing range, he'll edge it. If Andre Fili can kind of keep it kicking distance, he'll win. It's tough. I'm slightly leaning towards Jury. I think that he's going to be the one moving forward, and that might just edge him the rounds, but another close fight. I'm slightly leaning towards Jury to win by split decision. Next, we got Vicente Luque versus Brian Barberena, and Brian Barberena has a weird way of winning these fights a lot of the time. I think that his cardio and his high volume really works in his favor. The fact that he's got a great chin also helps. Vicente Luque's biggest problem is that he's not the greatest at conditioning and he's not the best with his wrestling. His jiu-jitsu is amazing and his striking is amazing. I don't know if he's going to be able to knock out Brian Barberena, but I think he's going to win at least the first 2 rounds. I think he just needs to survive the third. It's really tough because, like I said, I feel like Brian Barberena, the way he fights, is actually a good matchup against Vicente, but I think Vicente's just looked too good recently, and I think he's definitely going to win at least 2 of the 3 rounds, and that's just what I see happening. I think Vicente wins the first 2 rounds, Brian Barberena comes on strong in the third, and probably gets close to finishing Luque, but doesn't, and I think Luque just ends up winning a 29-28 decision. Next, we got Alex Caceres versus Kron Gracie, and this all depends on if Gracie can get this to the ground, which I think he will, because I think on the ground, he's levels above Caceres. We've already seen, I mean, he's phenomenal on the ground. There's a reason why he's coming into the UFC with only like 3 wins. The Gracies are kind of making a comeback. In Bellator, there's a lot of them doing really well right now. And, I mean, Caceres, his biggest problem is he doesn't have a lot of punching power. If he had more knockout power, I think with his movement, he should be able to win this fight, but I just don't see it. I think that eventually Kron's just going to walk him down, pull him down into his guard, or take him down, and then once he's there, I think he's eventually going to take Caceres' back, and when he does, I think he's just going to win by rear naked choke. Probably in the first round. Next, we got Courtney Casey versus Cynthia Calvillo, and this is 100% on Cynthia Calvillo. If she decides to wrestle, she should win this fight pretty easily. But I feel like we've seen in a lot of fights with her, she decides to strike with women a lot when she doesn't need to, and that kind of ends up hurting her. Like I said, if she wants to strike with Courtney Casey, I think that's going to end up bad for her. I think Courtney Casey's the much better striker. I think on the ground, Courtney Casey's not going to get submitted by Calvillo, but I think Calvillo can control her. It's tough just because I don't know how Calvillo is going to fight. Like I said, a lot of the times she'll just strike with women and not take to the ground. And if she just took fights to the ground more often, she probably wouldn't lose. I mean, I know she only has 1 loss, but I felt like she also lost to Joanne Calderwood. But the decision went her way for some bullshit reason. So it all depends on Calvillo. I'm assuming she's going to fight smart. I have to think about it in that manner. I think Calvillo takes it to the ground when she needs to, and she ends up winning a decision. Next, we got James Vick versus Paul Felder. And I don't know why so many people are picking Felder. I feel like Felder's lost to really technical strikers like this before. And James Vick, he's only lost to 2 big punchers. I feel like Felder, he kind of just plays the technical striking game, and I think James Vick is just a little bit better. I think he's better using his range. I think that his boxing on the outside is really good, and I think Felder kind of tends to fight at other guys' paces a lot of the time, or he'll just brawl, and I don't think he'll be able to get in on Vick like that and brawl with him. I think Vick's going to be able to keep the distance, and I think that this is going to be a close fight, but I think kind of like when Paul Felder fought Ross Pearson, I think James Vick's boxing on the outside is just going to edge him out the fight. I think it's going to be a close split decision, but I got James Vick winning by decision. Finally, we got Francis Ngannou versus Cain Velasquez, and Cain hasn't fought in almost 2.5 years. I don't know what he's going to look like, and that just worries the crap out of me too much. I think Francis looked great in his last fight. I think that, if Cain had been fighting more regularly, I'd pick him, but because he hasn't, it just worries me too much. And he's been talking about back pain for a long time, and he basically said he was about to retire. It's too hard for me to pick Cain. Like, he should win this fight. Stylistically, this fight favors him a lot, but because he hasn't fought in so long and because he's had so many injuries, I just don't have confidence in picking him. I think Ngannou's just going to come at him really early and catch him with a big shot and win by knockout in the first round like he did against Curtis Blades. So I got Francis winning by first minute KO. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe.